Blake Shelton and Kelly Clarkson looked like the closest friends in television. For years, they roasted each other, laughed together, and made The Voice feel like family. But something changed. In 2023, Blake walked away from the show after 23 seasons. Then the phone calls stopped, the posts disappeared, and people close to Blake started saying he felt betrayed. A business decision cost him old friendships. A divorce pulled everyone into sides. And then there was something Kelly did that made Blake furious. What really broke them apart? The answer will surprise you. Blake Tollison Shelton was born on June 18, 1976, in Ada, Oklahoma, a small town where life moved slow. His mother ran a beauty salon. His father sold used cars. Money was never flowing, but music found him early. When he was 12, an uncle handed him an old acoustic guitar. That changed everything. By 15, he had written his first heartbreak song. At 16, he was performing in bars and small venues, singing for oil workers who liked the rough edge in his voice. Then life hit him hard. On November 13, 1990, just after Blake turned 14, his older brother Richie died in a car crash near Ada. Richie was 24. The crash also killed Richie's girlfriend and her young son. That wound never fully healed. Friends later connected that loss to Blake's drinking, his anger, and the way he used humor to cover pain. He would later pour that grief into Over You, the song he wrote with Miranda Lambert. Despite the pain, Blake kept moving. In 1992, he won Oklahoma's Denbo Diamond Award. After graduating high school in May 1994, he left for Nashville with barely $200, a guitar, and a phone number. He painted houses, wrote songs, and faced rejection after rejection. A turning point came in 1997 when producer Bobby Braddock saw something in him. But even then, nothing came easy. One song considered for his debut, I Want to Talk About Me, got dropped only to become a #1 hit for Toby Keith. Then came Austin. The label didn't believe in it, but when it hit radio in 2001, listeners couldn't ignore it. By August 11, 2001, Austin hit #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart and stayed there for 5 straight weeks. His debut album went platinum. The Kid from Ada had arrived. Through the 2000s, Blake stacked hits The Baby, Some Beach, Home, Hillbilly Bone. By 2010, he was a force in Nashville. On October 23, 2010, he became a member of the Grand Ole Opry, a moment that meant more than any award. In 2014, he was inducted into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. After the 2013 tornadoes, his Healing in the Heartland benefit raised millions for relief. But success didn't erase the harder parts. Richie's death remained a deep mark, and Blake's own comments showed that alcohol had long been wrapped into how he dealt with pressure and old pain. His personal life became public spectacle. He married high school sweetheart Kagern in 2003, but the marriage ended in divorce by 2006. Then came Miranda Lambert. They met during a duet in 2005, married in 2011, and looked untouchable country music's power couple. But behind the image, cracks formed. Careers kept them apart. Trust issues and cheating rumors circled. In July 2015, it was over. The divorce was fast and ugly, turning into one of country music's messiest breakups. Then came The Voice. Blake joined as an original coach in 2011, and the show introduced him to millions who had never followed country radio. He was no longer just a singer. He was a TV personality with quick humor and massive reach. That is also where another important friendship grew. When Kelly Clarkson joined The Voice in 2018, their energy clicked instantly. On screen, they worked perfectly. The jokes, the mock fighting, the easy banter. Viewers loved it. Over time, that bond seemed stronger because both had gone through very public divorces and knew what it felt like to have private pain turned into public conversation. Kelly's split from Brandon Blackstock added another layer, since Brandon had once managed Blake. Blake ended up firmly on Kelly's side. The friendship started as fun television, but it carried real loyalty underneath. By August 2016, Blake was at the top, but that was exactly when everything started to shake. Old deleted tweets from 2011 were dug up. The posts included racist, homophobic, and sexist jokes. One tweet mocked a person speaking another language and tied that to fear of terrorism. Others leaned into gay stereotypes. One especially disturbing joke involved Dakota Fanning when she was only 16. The backlash grew fast. Instead of stepping carefully, Blake brushed it off, calling people dumbasses. That response changed everything. Within hours, Sir Blake Shelton is over was trending worldwide. GLAAD condemned the tweets. Fans demanded NBC fire him from The Voice. Around 10,000 of his old tweets were deleted as his team scrambled. Behind the scenes, NBC executives held crisis meetings. Sponsors got nervous. The message was blunt: clean up your image or lose everything. Publicly, Blake tried to act calm, but privately, reports said he started skipping meetings, avoided the press, and pulled away from people close to him. Some stories claimed there were nights he felt he did not deserve the stage anymore. The backlash had not just hit his public image, it had gotten under his skin. In May 2023, Blake announced he was leaving The Voice after 23 seasons, saying he needed to focus on being a husband and stepdad. He was walking away from the show that had changed his career. Almost immediately, Gwen Stefani came back to the show without him. He joked about it, but the joke hinted at something real. Their lives were not built around the same rhythm. Gwen had pop tours, television work, and Los Angeles energy. Blake wanted the ranch, the quiet, the distance from the machine. Then came the real fracture. Kelly Clarkson's divorce from Brandon Blackstock in 2020 did not just break up a marriage. It blew open a business system that had linked several people in Blake's world for years. Brandon came from the Blackstock management empire, an empire that had long managed Blake. So when Kelly filed for divorce on June 4, 2020, and then began claiming that Starstruck had operated illegally as an unlicensed talent agency in California, the split became much bigger than a private family matter. She said she had been charged huge commissions on deals that should never have been handled that way, including her work on The Voice. In early 2026, a California labor commissioner ruled in her favor, ordering Brandon to repay more than $2.6 million for unlawful commissions. That ruling made her accusations look even more serious. Kelly testified that Brandon had blocked her from opportunities too, including telling her years earlier that she was not sexy enough for a coaching role on The Voice. Blake responded in a way that carried real consequences. After Kelly's divorce filing, and as her claims against the Blackstocks grew louder, he ended his own long relationship with Starstruck. This was not just any client walking away. He had been one of their biggest stars for years. Leaving the firm meant he was putting friendship and loyalty ahead of a business arrangement that had helped carry his career. In Nashville, where personal and professional ties often overlap, that move did not disappear quietly. It broke something. It reportedly hit Brandon and Narvel hard. Losing Blake meant losing a major source of money and prestige. Still, even though Blake stood by Kelly, the whole thing did not leave her untouched. Her final divorce settlement in March 2022 still forced her to pay Brandon a huge lump sum, plus monthly spousal and child support. So, even while she was winning on one legal front, she was still financing part of her ex-husband's life on another. By 2023, Kelly was ready for a total reset. She moved the Kelly Clarkson show from Los Angeles to New York, saying she needed a fresh start and could not keep living in a place loaded with painful memories. The move gave her new energy. It also physically pulled her farther from the shared world where she and Blake had once spent so much time together. That distance mattered. For years, Blake and Kelly had built one of the most entertaining friendships on television. Their chemistry was instant, sharp, and funny. They roasted each other constantly and gave the show a warmth that only works when two people genuinely enjoy each other. But once Blake left The Voice after season 23 in May 2023, the natural space that had kept them close disappeared. No more daily rehearsals, no more chair turns, no more built-in banter. Once that orbit was gone, the friendship no longer had the same place to live. At first, the shift was subtle. Then it became harder to ignore. Their public appearances together stopped. The social media moments stopped. Kelly stayed busy with her daytime show in New York and built that into a major success. Blake pulled back toward Oklahoma, family life, and projects that fit his slower pace. But the split between them may have been deeper than logistics. Part of it seemed tied to the Blackstock fallout. Blake had chosen Kelly in a situation that cost him something real. Sources later suggested he felt that sacrifice was not fully recognized. The business break with Starstruck had damaged old ties and likely created quiet enemies. Even if he never said it directly, it is not hard to imagine resentment building when one person feels they burned bridges and the other simply moved on. Then came the moment that made Blake furious. In early 2025, Kelly gave an interview promoting her new album where she was asked about her closest friends from The Voice. She listed several names but did not mention Blake. When pressed, she said something like, "People come into your life for seasons, and you have to be okay with that." Blake saw the clip. According to a source close to him, he was absolutely livid. He felt that, after he had walked away from a management company that had made him millions specifically to support her, she had publicly erased him. In the months that followed, the silence became deafening. No public birthday wishes, no inside jokes shared on social media, no mention of each other in interviews. At the 2026 CMT Awards, they were both in attendance but did not speak. Photos from the event show them standing on opposite sides of the room. Adding fuel to the fire, in late 2025, reports surfaced that Kelly had quietly reconnected with some of the same Blackstock family members for a separate business venture involving music publishing. Blake saw that as the ultimate betrayal. Not only had she moved on, but she was now doing business with the very people he had cut ties with to defend her. Their friendship, which had survived divorces, scandals, and the chaos of fame, could not survive this. Blake has not spoken publicly about Kelly in over a year. When asked in a February 2026 interview about his time on The Voice, he thanked Adam Levine and Gwen Stefani, but did not say Kelly's name once. The tragedy is that they were never enemies. They were two people from very different worlds who found something rare in television, real friendship. But business, that distance, and unspoken resentments turned that friendship into silence. Blake feels used. Kelly feels like she was just moving forward, and neither seems willing to pick up the phone. What broke them apart? It wasn't one fight. It was 1,000 small cuts, a management war, a move across the country, an interview that landed wrong, and the quiet realization that some friendships only exist as long as you're sitting in the same room. Once Blake walked off that set, he and Kelly were no longer on the same stage, and they never found their way back. Subscribe to keep uncovering the truth behind the legends. Thanks for watching.